So now, part 2, or day 2 of our algebra review for Algebra 2, is substituting into expressions and some more complicated simplifications. So we're going to do these odds together at this time, okay? So if we look at 13, every place that we see a y, we're going to use substitution and replace it with a -6. Be very careful when you're replacing values with a negative. It can go wrong. And then z is 5. So just, we're going to take out those and we can use substitution. So we get -6 plus 5 plus 2. And addition and subtraction, you just go from left to right. We get -1 plus 2, which is 1. So just be mindful of what's sitting there. Be careful of what's sitting there. Let's do another one. Let's look at 15. So x is given as a value of 1. Z is given as a value of 6. So let's plop the values in first. Once you plop the values in, we are still responsible for doing order of operations. So now we have the division comes next. So that's 1 plus 1 plus 1 minus 5. 1 plus 1 minus 5, which is 2 minus 5, or -3. Okay. Oh, so I did say, wait, let's see. Wait 1 second. There's 6 divided by 6 plus 1 minus 5. Oh, that's what was confusing me. Okay, so this is 1 plus 1. I'm going to go back, thank you. Because I said 3, and then I was like, wait, there was not 3. Okay, 1 for that one, plus 1 for those ones, minus 5. There we go. Oh, my God. Okay, so 1 plus 1, if we go from left to right, is easily turned into 3. 3 minus 5 is -2. Thank you. Got confused there with all those ones. Okay, so that's 15. I'm glad I'm doing this with you guys. Okay, 16, where we see x, we're going to replace with a 6. Where we see y, we don't, oh, there it is, -5. I was like, wait, why did they put a y? And then z is 2. Okay, so let's take those values out. Now be careful, especially with our y value being a negative. Sometimes plopping in positives, you just replace it. It's nice, but those negatives especially, be careful. Okay. So there's going to be 6 in front, 2 plus 3 plus 1 plus 3 minus a -5. I like to put that in parentheses to kind of hold its value so that I don't have to write it. You know how they wrote it earlier, a negative times a negative, they had it like this or something, and it was gross. I don't like that. So I do tend to use a parenthesis on a negative because then it kind of clarifies what's sitting there. Okay, so inside a parenthesis, the only values we don't have complete are these ones. So let's go and do that. 6 times 5. Now we technically have 2 multiplications at this point, that multiplication, and I think of that as a multiplication. Those 2 negatives can be rewritten nicer. So we get 30 plus 1 plus 3 plus 5. It's just a nice long big division. 30 plus 1 is 31, plus 4 is 34, plus 5 is 39. So pretty straightforward there. I'm sorry, I did an even for you, but hey. So let's skip 17. You can do that one instead. Let's do 8. Well, no, let's just do 17 then. But 18 is so gross. Let's do 18 together. Okay. So 18 is a long one. We have lots of negatives to go in. We have an A that's just a 1. That's not too bad. But our B is -6, so watch that. And our C is -4, so it's going to go right there. That's not too bad the way that it sits, but there's just lots of parentheses there. So it's going to be -3 divided by the quantity of 1 plus a -4 times -6 plus 5 minus -6 plus 1. Okay. Now let's jump to our innermost parenthesis, okay? We have two of them, I would say at least. This one needs simplified, and so does that one. Okay, so we have this one here. We're not ready to do anything with it. We have this -4. We could write that as a -4 if we have the urge. That's -1. That's going to be -5. Okay. Inside the parenthesis, we still have this multiplication and that multiplication to do. Think of this as, you can even put a little -1 there if that helps your brain. So it's going to be 1 plus 4, because two negatives make a positive, plus 5. And then that parenthesis can finally become one thing. 1 plus 4 plus 5 is 10. Now we have to multiply or divide from left to right. So the division comes first. Sometimes we want to do the multiplication first. Left to right. So -3 divided by +3 comes first, and that's -1. Now we use the 10, and we get -10. Okay, look good? Okay, last thing that we're going to do on part 2 are these simplifying in the expressions that have like x's and y's in it. Do we have any questions about 13 through 18 before we move on? Okay, now simplifying expressions with some like terms and stuff. The thing you have to remember is, let's look at a simple example to the side here. If we have 3x plus 5y minus 2x plus 6y plus 7. Let's say we have that. We can only combine what is called like terms. 3x minus 2x are like terms. And we think of those as if I have 3 blocks that have an x on it, and we take away 2 of them, I have 1 x remaining. 5y's plus 6y's, how many y's do I have? And then that 7 is just its own unique thing. So that would be x plus 11y's plus 7. So just to remind you how these rules work. There are some things we can do with like terms that we can't do with regular numbers. There's something we can do with regular numbers we can't do with like terms. So you have to just be careful. Okay, so we're just going to go and do this left column here of the odds, and then your job is to work on the ones we didn't do together. So let's look at 19. In this list, it's just addition and subtraction, but we have to be mindful is the one has an x on it, the others do not. So those are like terms. We can only combine those, and then we're stuck. So you get 9x plus 8, and that's as far as you go. Now, some of you on your quizzes and some of you on your other things, you were trying to think of something you had to go further. If it was an equation, you'd have to go further. If you knew what x was, if x is 2, it would be this. If x was 0, it would be this. That's as far as you have to go. So don't overthink these. 21. On the quiz, we had some distribution, and you weren't distributing correctly. So let's just go over the rule. This negative is attached to the 6. That is -6, the opposite of 6. That whole thing gets distributed. Please be careful of that. Some of you distributed the negative to the first thing, but not to the last. -6 is used both times, so be careful, okay? So the -9 is just hanging out. -6 times -v, a negative times a negative is a positive 6v. -6 times positive 5 is -30. And then you just have to go down the list. Are there any like terms? -9 minus 30 are the only things we can combine. So the 6v is done. We have nothing to change it. But -9 minus 30, they are the same sign. We add them, and we keep the sign. So it's 6v minus 39. You could have also written -39 plus 6v. They're both correct. They both mean exactly the same thing. Everybody okay with 21 and distributing that negative? Please distribute the negative in. 23, we have to distribute the 4, and we use the distribution property only when those can't be combined. There was one problem on the quiz that you had numbers that you could have combined, or you could use the distributive property. So just be careful with that. Okay, so when we distribute, we get 1 plus 8 minus 12k. 1 plus 8 is 9. We can combine those. 9 minus 12k would be our final version. All right, is that good for 23? Any questions there? Distribute the 8. That 4 times 2 is 8. 4 times negative 3k is negative 12k. The k can't change. Bring it down, but you can't add the 1 and the 8 together. Now, the quiz also had one very similar to 25 on it. This was the one that I noticed some people were really messing up. So I like that there's a 25 and 27 there because it's going to allow us to do some work together. Okay, so look at the parentheses. If they can be combined, combine them. If they can't, you're stuck using the distributive property. Distribute the 7. Distribute the whole thing, that negative 8. The negative is stuck on the 8th. So we're going to distribute the whole thing. Okay. So when we do that, we get 7 plus 63v plus 40v plus 48. So that negative made all the negatives in the parenthesis a positive. And then combine like terms. Now I go with the highest power variable first, but the order doesn't matter in addition. 63 plus 40v is 103v. And then finally here, we've got a 7 plus a 48, which is a 55. And then you can't do anything else. Don't try to do anything else. That is just an expression that we don't know any more about it because we don't have any more information. So it is what it is. And then let's do 27, and then you have the rest of class to work on this. Okay, so we're going to distribute the negative with the 2. It's going to go to both of those. We're going to distribute the negative with the 4. It's going to go to both of those. Okay, so just be careful when you use the distributive property. So we get a positive 12x. Now, if you want to put a plus in front of the 12, it's not wrong. Go for it. I don't care. And then we're going to get a positive 18. And then we're going to get a negative 4x and a negative 36. That negative is attached to the 4 and distributes with it. And then it's just a matter of combining like terms. We've got a 12x minus 4x is 8x. And then we've got a 18 minus 36, which is negative 18. Okay? Any questions at all on anything that we have done here? Any questions at all on any of this? Okay, so your job is to work on the evens. And if you need me, just raise your hand or come up to me and I'll be more than happy to help.